fighter has the highest fight IQ?
I don't think there's nobody in the game that has the fight IQ that I have.
Off the charts.
His IQ
the
is
highest
insane.
fight IQ maybe ever.
This guy hits hard. He's tough. He's this, he's that. And this guy has a dream. But my fight IQ will win this fight.
Welcome to the Fight IQ podcast. We're back with another episode. Just when it looked like we were in the darkest times of MMA as MMA fans, some heat got dropped in the last 24 hours. Thank the MMA gods. I was beginning to be really, really sad with being an MMA fan, and all of a sudden, the coin has flipped. We are getting some of the coolest, most fun matchups that have been announced in the last few years, if I'm being completely honest with you. As you can see on the left side of the screen, UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Lopes for the now vacant featherweight title. Ilia seems like he's making his move up to lightweight after one title defense. And to be honest with you, for many other people, I would be kind of off-put by that, a little upset. But with Ilia, I'm like, yo, I could see him knocking out so many people at lightweight. Fuck it. Just have him go up there and do work up there.
Yeah, dude, he also, cleaned out all the people, all the fun matchups. He's already, Josh Emmett, the power puncher, he beat Bryce Mitchell, the grappler.
Yeah.
It's what do we want to keep him around for?
Well, I would have liked to see him against Lopes, to be honest with you, just because of how exciting of a fighter Lopes is. And Evloev, just because he's the undefeated guy in the division who, nobody really likes his fighting style, but he's kind of undeniable. So it's like those two guys were really the only two ones that I wanted to see Ilia fight before moving up. But like I said, I'm not really too mad at it. 314 looks like it's going to be a contender for card of the year. We got Volk versus Lopes for the vacant title. We got Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Finally, they're giving Michael Chandler an appropriate matchup. Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Everyone probably saw that one coming. It's like when you get a fucking guy like Carlos Prates coming up in the welterweight division, you got to give him Jeff Neal. That one was pretty predictable. This card looks pretty freaking awesome. I'm just scrolling through it. Sean Woodson versus Dan Ige is a fire fight. Sean Woodson's finally getting a crack at the top 15. And then I'm go over real quick 315. Some matchups for 315 just got announced. Shavkat got injured. Jack Della Madalena's getting his title shot. That's kind of my unpopular take of this video is JDM does not deserve a title shot. Whether it's going to be a good, fun fight or not, and JDM actually could win this fight, I don't think he deserves it. That's my unpopular take of this video. We'll get into that. Furo is getting her title shot against Shevchenko. I ain't mad at that. I know a lot of people wanted to see Zhang Weili move up and get the shot of Shevchenko, but to be honest with you, nobody else is beating Manon Fiorot in the division, so I don't want to see her fight anyone else. She deserves the shot. Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. Perfect next step for Michael Morales. Really fun. And Natalia Silva versus Alexa Grasso. Great fight. And then the only other fight that's announced for 315 is the biggest buzzkill fighter currently on the roster, Marc-Andre Barrio versus Bruno Silva. Who gives a shit about that? But let's and some other fun ones. We'll hop over to Big Marcel's page at the end and kind of just briefly touch on some other fun matchups that got announced that aren't on these cards. But let's talk about 314 for a little bit. Volk versus Diego Lopes for the vacant title. What do you think?
Oh, man, I think this is going to be obviously this is the right move. This is what kind of should have been planned. I wanted to see Diego Lopes fighting for a title, and I did not want to see Volkanovski rematching Ilia Topuria, so this is kind of like the best of both worlds here. I feel like if the way the fight goes, how I think it's going to go, I think Diego Lopes is going to catch Volk early. I think when you're trying to be very measured and fight really pretty like Volkanovski does, somebody with a style that's like Diego Lopes, where he just needs to land one big shot in the chaos, and that's all over. Volkanovski likes to hold his hands out like this pretty often, and Diego Lopes always finds those overhands and those arcing punches that sneak around the guards. So I feel like Diego Lopes is going to probably get a stoppage over Volkanovski, and it's going to be really, really sad.
Yeah, it could be. It could potentially be very, very sad for Volkanovski enjoyers. Honestly, my first thoughts about this matchup, I do think Volk is going to win. I think he's going to he's a gritty vet, and he's just going to have a gritty vet type of performance. I mean, Diego Lopes coming off that Brian Ortega win, but Brian Ortega isn't what he used to be. He used to be this super scary dude in the division. Everyone wanted to stay away from him, just kind of stay at distance and stay away. Diego Lopes just brought the fight to him. Man, Volkanovski looks so fucking funny in this picture. I mean, he looks like, bro, I don't even know how to describe what he looks like. He's got the upper body of a middleweight and the lower body of a bantamweight. It's so fucking weird. I'm probably going to go back and forth on my pick for this fight over the next couple weeks. But I am thinking Volkanovski's just going to have a gritty vet performance here. That being said, I'm a bigger fan of Lopes, so I kind of hope he wins. I would like to see him get the title. I'd like to see some new shit in the division, and then we can get the Evloev rematch for the title after that. But just in the interest of not spending too much time on this shit, because there's so many cool matchups that we want to talk about in this video, let's talk about Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. I think Chandler's got this one. I think this is the type of matchup that Chandler wins. I think every single matchup other than his debut against Dan Hooker, I think every matchup that he's gotten in the UFC so far is a horrible matchup on paper for him. I think this is, besides his debut, the first matchup that he's getting where I'm like, all right, this is a winnable fight for Chandler.
I disagree. I feel like Chandler's fight IQ is just in the garbage. I feel like he always makes the wrong decisions, and he, by choice, chooses the wrong game plan for the wrong opponents. And I feel like he's going to do the same. I feel like he's probably going to go in there and try to out-grapple fucking Paddy Pimblett with the decisions he makes. I feel like he's going to go in there, and this is going to be the fight. He's going to try and implement his wrestling, and he's going to get fucking submitted. I don't think it's going to be a submission victory. It's a 5-round fight. And I feel like Paddy Pimblett's probably going to get a split decision in this one. I feel like it's going to not end in a finish because Michael Chandler is very hard to submit. He has a lot of high-level grapplers in his camp, and he's very well known for not giving up submissions. He's really good defending chokes off the back. Paddy Pimblett is very slick on the ground. His jiu-jitsu is very flowy, and then you're just locked up. He's one of these people that if you shoot for a takedown, by the time you're down, he has 4 different submissions locked up on you. And he can find them from anywhere, even if he's being pressed up against the fence. And he's just very creative with his grappling. And I feel like that's going to be enough to win him rounds, but he's not going to be able to find the finish.
I just see it going so differently. I just think Paddy Pimblett is so hittable. And Michael Chandler, even in the fights that he loses, even if he loses in devastating fashion, he tags you up at some point. Paddy Pimblett is just, although he's got a good chin, he is so hittable. And I really think that Paddy's only chance of victory here is to get into a wild scramble and lock something up. And Chandler is really good. His jiu-jitsu defense is very good when he knows that he's going up against someone with very good jiu-jitsu. He got subbed by Dustin Poirier, but I think that's just because in his mind that was probably the unexpected thing to happen. You know what I mean? I think, this is probably one that I'm not going to change my mind on as we get closer. I think Chandler is going to... It's a 5-round fight. I think it will go to decision, but I see Chandler being able to get 2 10-8 rounds here. I see.
So you think Chandler's going to land the big overhand, and then he's going to beat the shit out of Paddy. Paddy barely gets out past the round.
Yeah.
And then boom, then second round, he's barely saving in.
Yeah, exactly.
I
think Paddy's durability is going to save him, but I think he's going to get very, very hurt in this fight. That's my guess.
Another thing too, though, is Michael Chandler is coming off, and this is what he said after his last fight with Oliveira. That was 5 rounds. A lot of really major injuries, so that's a big factor in what's up, because this is very soon technically if you're coming off that many serious injuries that he was claiming that to have.
Yeah, but he didn't get injured in the Charles fight.
No, he said he was very, very injured, like throughout the whole. Like he said that was the most beat up he's ever been in a fight.
Which is crazy because if you watch the fight, like to me, that was like kind of a lackluster fight.
No way, dude. Michael Chandler was getting shut down and the shit beat out of him for four rounds.
Yeah, he was getting shut down, but compared to all other Michael Chandler's fights, it was relatively uneventful.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. All right, that's enough on that. Carlos Prates versus Jeff Neal. I got Carlos Prates here. This is the type of fight that he wins.
Yeah, I hope so. Carlos Prates is going to be my pick as well, but I am going to say that Jeff Neal just finds a way to land on people. He had Ian Gary shooting in on the fence and clenching him against the fence, and being very defensive because he has very heavy hands, and when he shows up, he's able to be very dangerous.
I
agree. That being said, I don't think he's going to be able to get in on Prates because Prates is very long, has very elusive footwork, and I feel like when Jeff Neal is going to be able to enter in with his boxing, he's going to be intercepted with knees, and he's going to be running into knees, I feel like, on this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think, especially because I think actually Jeff Neal might go into this fight thinking, oh, I'm going to mix in the grappling because Carlos Prates is pretty much just a kickboxer. So I think he could definitely run into some danger with the knees because I think he does need to mix in the grappling to be able to beat someone like Carlos Prates. And if we're comparing, listen, Jeff Neal did very well in the Ian Gary fight, but if we're comparing the striking of Ian Gary versus Prates, like I think Gary is a very overrated striker.
Me too.
Like very, very overrated. Not to say that he's not a good striker because he clearly is, but I just think
he's fast.
I just think he's overrated. That's all. That's going to be a fun one though. I mean, obviously there's some other really fun matchups on this card, but not anything good enough to really like touch on specifically. Let's move over to UFC 315. JDM getting his title shot against Belal Muhammad because Shavkat got injured. I don't think Jack Della Maddalena deserves this shot at all. Like, dude, coming up, okay, yeah, the win over Gilbert Burns was impressive. Besides that, what does he have?
A streak of wins, a streak of finishes, and if you compare him against all of the other contenders that would have a stake for the title, all of his fights were significantly more entertaining. All of these other people are having like really lame decisions that are getting booed and all that stuff. And Jack Della Maddalena fights are always super fucking hype. Like that comeback win against Gilbert Burns with the broken arm was
I get
tough,
it,
dude.
I get it.
And I think another thing too was it is on short notice too because they needed a main event, so they had to see who was available and who wanted to take the fight on short notice. And I'm assuming he wanted.
It's the only. All right, that's the only reason that I'll give it to you because it's on short notice. I think like obviously the UFC really rewards people when they're willing to take fights on short notice. Obviously JDM was not gonna say no to it. He's getting a title shot, and I do think this is a bad matchup for JDM. I think Belal Muhammad's a much better grappler than Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert Burns was able to hold JDM down for decent periods of time. JDM, showed decent scramble ability and really good grit in that fight, but Belal Muhammad is really good at neutralizing good strikers. As much shit as we like to talk about Belal Muhammad and everybody likes to talk about Belal Muhammad, he is good at neutralizing good strikers.
Absolutely. And I'll counter that by saying that Jack Della Maddalena consistently brings Craig Jones into his camp, and they had answers for a lot of the grappling exchanges against the fence and all that Gilbert Burns came up with. So I feel like somebody like Craig Jones being in Jack Della Maddalena's camp is going to help out significantly in like that aspect.
I don't.
Because, I mean, it's all about positions, right? Like, Belal's not somebody that's going to come at you and go for like crazy submissions. He's going to be trying to control you in certain positions. What they can work around is how to escape those positions. And, with Craig Jones being like a really good counter grappler to that style, I feel like it's going to be very beneficial. Yeah. And then another thing too is Jack Della Maddalena, bro. Whenever he needs to like go for broke in whatever moment, whether it be on the ground, whether it be on the feet, like there was so many times where Leon Edwards reversed position and was able to at least find himself in a somewhat dominant position in the Belal fights, but he just refused to engage or throw anything, and so he lost the round because when Belal was on top, he was actually like throwing these little punches. When Jack Della Maddalena, if he reverses you, bro, he's hitting you with some elbows. He's making you pay. He's making you work for the position.
Sure.
So, like, I feel like that's you can't really write him off too bad on that one.
No, I mean,
He's my
I'm
pick,
not
you know what I'm
writing him off, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way when I say Jack Della Maddalena doesn't deserve the title shot. Don't get me wrong. I'm stoked he's getting the title shot. Like, I'm very excited for this fight. I just think, like, man, especially in a division where there's so many good guys, it's like, on paper, I think Buckley deserves it more. Like, I would rather see JDM versus Belal. Don't get it twisted. I think there's just other guys on paper who deserve it more. But I will say, this is better for the division. This is the best title fight for the division. And so while like the nitpicky MMA fan in me wants to be like JDM doesn't deserve the shot, the actual UFC fan in me is like, this is the best thing for the division, regardless of accolades and who they've beat and who's been more active recently or whatever. You know what I mean? This is the best fight for the division. So don't come after me in the comments. I know everybody is huge fans of JDM, and I am a big fan of him as well. But let's move on. Valentina Shevchenko versus Manon Fiorot. Don't want to spend too much time on this because, like, honestly, it is what it is. Manon Fiorot,
she might as well just be fighting like Caitlin Chikirgian again, bro. That's exactly how I said. This is exactly the same thing. It's just
Fiorot is going to, bro. Fiorot's going to win this fight, though.
Whoa!
I swear to God.
I hate Valentina, bro. So I hope so, dude. I hope we get Manon.
I'm dead serious. I really think Manon Fiorot is going to win this fight.
I really dislike Valentina as a champ right now, dude. So I hope so. And I would hate it even more if Manon was champ because all of her fights are fucking boring too.
Super boring.
But,
She's yeah, Manon Fiorot is like a slightly better version of Caitlin Chookagian.
And the only reason Caitlin Chookagian was good is because she had that reach, bro. She was able to just be a jab merchant point fighter.
Yeah.
Dude, that fight's gonna fucking suck, dude.
No, this fight's gonna be horrible. It's not gonna be good. But here's the thing. Manon Fiorot is a better striker. Like, listen, I don't know if I'm just a Valentina Shevchenko hater or what, but legitimately Manon Fiorot is a better striker.
I don't want to spend too much time on this because I can have a whole 30-minute video on critiquing Valentina Shevchenko's striking, and this is just from a stupid fellow on the internet.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying, bro, is if you really pay attention, she never really lands any of her spinning attempts that she always goes for. She landed one spinning back fist ever, and she throws like 40 of them a fight.
Yeah.
And it's so bad that Alexa Grasso specifically knew, she's going to miss a spinning back fist or a spinning back kick, and that's how she got the finish.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, too, bro, she's just a fucking counter left hook merchant, bro. She throws like a fucking counter left hook anytime anybody comes in on her. She has a hook, cross, and a low kick, bro.
And she's going against the counter merchant of the division in Manon Fiorot. Mm-hmm. She's not going to be able to find Manon on the feet. She's not going to be able to grapple her because Manon is like freakishly strong. Like she really is. She really is. And that's just that. Valentina Shevchenko is like, she's good as far as women's MMA goes. Wow, I can't fucking talk. But realistically, like, she has one exciting performance in her entire fucking career, the knockout over Jessica Ai. And that is also her only knockdown in the UFC. The knockout of Jessica Ai is her only knockdown in her entire UFC career. Other than that, she TKO'd Lauren Murphy with the most bullshit little like stupid little punches. And
these are the people that she's fighting: Lauren Murphy, Jessica Ai.
Yeah.
I'm surprised fucking what's her name, Casey O'Neal's not in there.
Yeah.
Caitlin Chikugian, like all of these people. Sure, they made it all the way up to the top of their fucking division.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show you the caliber of opponent. You know, Ronda Rousey was finishing everybody in fucking 30 seconds with the armbar, and when her division was starting off. You know.
Yep.
So. I feel like she's going to be one of those people that like gets to squeak by with all like the really easy matchups and to GOAT status, you know?
Yeah.
It should be Joanna, bro. Joanna should be the GOAT.
Joanna is honestly, dude, well, obviously it's Zhang Weili. Zhang Weili is the WWE.
100%.
Well, you know, we obviously don't want to tarnish Amanda Nunes' legacy either because she was a very exciting fighter. But Shevchenko, dude, she gets way too much credit. She's not that good.
All the Shevchenko simps are going to come for us, bro.
I don't care. I don't care. Come for us in the comments and fucking defend one of the most boring fighters of all time. I really don't care. You know, Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales is also on this card. Michael Morales is very fucking good. Man, talking about how stacked welterweight is right now. Michael Morales is very good, and he's going to beat the shit out of Gilbert Burns. And then Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva. I'm a big Natalia Silva fan. She's actually good. She got a wagon. She's actually good. Like, and Alexa Grasso is actually good too. I think the striking exchanges in this fight could be really fun. But whatever. That's that. I'm going to hop on my phone real quick, go over to Big Marcel. Another fight that got announced recently. It's going to be a fight night main event. Corey Sandhagen versus Davison Figueiredo. I want to talk about this one for a little bit. This is going to be a fun fight. I don't really have a pick for it right now, but I think this is going to be a fun fight. Corey Sandhagen's really good at keeping his distance. Davison Figueiredo. This is kind of weird because Davison Figueiredo is a little bit small for the bantamweight division. He was a big flyweight and fucked people up at flyweight, but his performances haven't been as exciting up at bantamweight.
Yeah, I feel like was on a really good streak before he had his last fight. Speaking about Figueiredo, same thing with Corey Sandhagen. You know, he hasn't been able to put like some solid wins together in a minute, and I just feel like momentum has been halted by lack of matchmaking for him because he's been wanting a fight for a while. I feel like this is a great match, like fight matchup wise. I do like that Figueiredo's getting somebody that's pretty close to the top there because I feel like as a former champ, he should always be like in the conversation for the title there.
Yeah.
I do think he matches up well stylistically with Merab. Figueiredo.
Yeah.
I feel like the way, like my early prediction for this fight is I feel like we're going to go into this fight thinking that Corey Sandhagen is going to be able to outstrike Figueiredo and have the bigger moments. But I feel like this Figueiredo is going to be very similar to like the Song Yadong fight where Sandhagen was like outlanding him, but Song Yadong would also have these very big moments like very sporadically. But I feel like those big moments are going to come a little bit more often for Davison Figueiredo. I feel like his striking is going to be able to be more damaging than what Corey Sandhagen's striking is going to be able to do. And I feel like that's going to be the big decision maker in this one. It's going to go to decision.
Yeah, I think, honestly, like, if Davison wanted to have success in this fight, I think he should probably really study the fight that Corey had with TJ Dillashaw. Say what you will, like, people think Corey won that fight based on damage. I must have watched that fight back 5 or 6 times. I thought TJ won every single time. Like, you can have a couple damaging shots, but at the end of the day, like 2-3 shots over an entire fight does not win you the fight. I still, to this day, I think TJ won that fight. And I think Davison kind of has, let's see. I mean, TJ does put damage on people and has hurt people in the past, but there's no denying that Davison has more punching power and has more ability to hurt guys than TJ.
Absolutely. And
so I think if Davison can close the distance like TJ was able to in that fight, I think he's actually going to cause some damage on Corey. But But I don't know. It seems like Davison has lower output and he's not as aggressive at bantamweight. I think flyweight was his division, even though he said it was hard to make flyweight. He's really not the biggest guy. I do think I think it's a winnable fight for him against Corey, but I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah, man. I think it's the same. Like you said, it's a very winnable fight for Corey Sandhagen. If he can be perfect for 5 rounds, but and he is very capable of keeping it together, staying disciplined, and staying focused for 5 rounds. He's very game. He's a very competitive person when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
He stays real tight on a game plan. But I just feel like Figueiredo is going to be like, if he lands a shot, it's very different than if Corey Sandhagen lands one of his shots. And I feel like unless Sandhagen really shuts him down for over the course of 5 rounds, like Figueiredo is going to have big moments to capitalize on. I don't see Figueiredo finishing Sandhagen. He's just so defensively sound that it's going to be tough to put him away. But I feel like, I see Sandhagen getting rocked in a couple rounds, I feel like Sandhagen's going to be outlanding him, landing leg kicks, out jabbing him, switching stances, doing all the really pretty footwork that we love to see from Corey Sandhagen. And then Figueiredo is going to land one shot over the top of a jab or like intercept him with something, maybe land a big left hook. And then it's going to wobble Sandhagen, and then there's going to be the conversation of, okay, who won the round? Sandhagen was doing good, but he got dropped, or Sandhagen was doing good here, but he got wobbled.
Yeah, and in 5-round fights, dude, Corey Sandhagen does let a couple rounds go. Like, he's not a guy who's on the gas the entire time. When you see him in 5-round fights, he does let a couple rounds get away from him. And if he has those sorts of rounds against Figueiredo, I could definitely see Figueiredo hurting him. One more that I want to touch on just before we finish up this video. Patricio Pitbull is coming over to the UFC. A little too late, in my opinion. He's getting Yair. Yair is a tough matchup. Pitbull is a short featherweight. And he doesn't have the reach of like a Volkanovski. Like Volkanovski was able to fuck up Yair, even though he's short, but Volk has like this deceivingly long reach. Patricio doesn't have that. Patricio is like a bantamweight who's just like too jacked to make bantamweight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
I see Yair fucking up Patricio. I think I would have liked to see Patricio come into the UFC like 5-6 years ago, but I just think it's a little too late for him.
Yeah, after he KO'd Michael Chandler, I feel like that would have been a good time for him to come over. But with that being said, I feel like Yair Rodriguez is going to be too much for him. He's very fast, very elusive. Even Max Holloway, who's a very good striker with very good eyes and very good defensively, was having a lot of trouble keeping up with Yair's speed and his different shot selection with his kicks. And I just feel like Yair is going to run through him. Pitbull is 37. And I feel like they probably weren't the strictest with drug testing. He's always been one of those people that was like fighting in Bellator, where you look at him and you're like, I think that guy's juicing,
Oh, for sure.
He looks a lot different. He looks a lot different than all the other dudes in his weight class, that are in the UFC. But I just feel like, yeah, dude, Yair's just going to be way too much for him. And even if there's like a hint of octagon jitters, like Pitbull's probably going to get like fucking KO'd bad. Like I see Yair landing at like one of those crazy highlight reel KOs that he's known for, like the one he hit against Korean Zombie. I feel like he's going to be flying knee, dude, or like a jump switch kick, something like that.
No, that's exactly what it is. I just think he's too dynamic. If a guy like AJ McKee was able to fuck up Patricio like that quickly with like seemingly no issue, yeah, Yair is much better. He's much more dynamic. He's got good takedown defense, so I don't think Patricio is really going to have much success there. Yeah, I just think Yair is too fast, too dynamic, and that's that. There is one more fight. It's a fight at the top of the division, going back to welterweight, but these are two of like the biggest buzzkill fighters on the entire roster. We got Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. Like, I can't think of a more high-level fight that I do not give a shit about than this one.
Yeah, dude, you could not have said it any better there.
Yeah.
This is like a fight that, in theory, we should be hyped about.
Yeah.
But like when I just know deep in my bones that what I'm going to see is going to be for 5 rounds, Leon Edwards against the fucking fence, getting free, getting space. Us all being like, all right, Leon, throw a body kick from open stance. All right, Leon, start letting that right hand go, bro. And, start fucking doing something. And then fucking Sean Brady gets him against the fence again. Maybe takes him down. Leon Edwards gets back to his feet. Round over. All right.
Yeah.
4 rounds of that, dude.
Yeah, I'm not a big betting man, but I would bet a good bit of money on the fight going exactly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. Making these YouTube videos was getting a little boring, and I was getting a little discouraged. I'm not gonna lie, but waking up and seeing all these awesome matchups, I think a lot of YouTubers have been talking shit about the UFC matchmaking, and I think this is the UFC just being like, "Oh yeah, fucking check this shit out." Boom. And
I hope so.
It's taken us out of the dark ages of shitty matchups and boring champions. We have a lot of opportunity for fun new champions, fun new number 1 contenders, all that shit. Let us know in the comments what you think about all these matchups. I know we kind of covered a lot, jumped around a lot, but these are just really, really exciting matchups that we're both really, really excited for. So we kind of just had to make a video about it. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Really, really appreciate everyone watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Adios.
Peace.